The fluorescent lights of St. Haven emergency room hummed with a sterile, indifferent glow. It was the kind of light that erased shadows but never quite removed fear. Machines beeped in steady rhythms, carts rolled across polished floors, and voices urgent, controlled, practiced cut through the air like instruments in a symphony of controlled chaos. Emma stood near the far end of the trauma corridor, her posture straight, her expression calm. A clipboard rested lightly in her hands, though her eyes were not on the paper. They moved quietly, observantly tracking motion, listening to tone, reading the room the way others read charts. To most of the staff, she was forgettable. A rookie nurse. Too quiet. Too soft. Not built for trauma nights. "Hey, Emma," one of the residents called out as he passed, barely slowing. "Try not to faint tonight, all right? We're expecting actual patients." A few chuckles followed. Emma didn't respond. She simply nodded once, as if the comment had been clinical information, nothing more. At the central desk, Dr. Haverson stood surrounded by interns, his voice confident, bordering on theatrical. "Trauma care isn't about hesitation," he said. "It's about authority. You walk in, you take control, and everyone else follows." His eyes flicked briefly toward Emma. "Which is something not everyone here is suited for." More quiet laughter. Emma adjusted the sleeve of her scrub slightly, covering her forearm more fully. The motion was small, almost subconscious. Beneath the fabric, something old and inked remained hidden, something no one in this building had ever seen. She turned and continued her rounds. Room 3, stable. Room 5, post-op monitoring. Room 7, empty, waiting. Everything was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that never lasted. Then the doors exploded open. The sound came first, metal slamming, wheels screeching, voices rising sharply. Paramedics rushed in, their boots heavy against the floor, pushing a gurney with force and urgency that immediately shifted the air in the entire ER. "Incoming trauma," one of them shouted. Male, mid-40s, multiple shrapnel wounds, severe blood loss, possible arterial damage. The gurney burst through the double doors. And everything changed. The man on it was not just injured, he looked like he had been pulled straight out of war. Desert camouflage torn open. Blood soaking through layers of fabric. Skin marked with dust, burns, and something deeper, something that didn't belong to this building. His jaw was clenched so tight it looked like it might crack. His eyes half open, unfocused, were not seeing the AR. They were somewhere else. "Get him into Trauma Bay 3, now." The staff moved instantly. Monitors were wheeled in. Gloves snapped on. Orders fired rapidly. BP dropping. Pulse weak, thready. Prep Roman 4 access. Dr. Haverson stepped forward, taking command exactly as he had described minutes earlier. "Let's move," he barked. "We don't have time to waste." The gurney locked into place. Hands reached for the patient. And that's when everything went wrong. The man's eyes snapped open. Not slowly. Not groggily. Instantly. Like a switch had been flipped. His body surged upward with violent force. "No one touches me." The roar tore through the room, raw and explosive. He ripped the Roman 4 line out of his arm before it was even secured. Blood sprayed across the sheets as he swung an arm, knocking a tray of instruments to the ground with a metallic crash. "Back off." Security moved instinctively but stopped just as quickly. Because this wasn't confusion. This wasn't panic. This was trained, controlled chaos. Combat reflex. "Sir, you're in a hospital," one doctor began. The man grabbed his wrist mid-sentence, grip like iron despite the blood loss. "I said," he growled, voice low now but far more dangerous, "no one touches me." The room froze. Even Dr. Haverson hesitated. This wasn't a standard patient. This was someone used to command. Used to being obeyed. And even in this state, that authority hadn't left him. "Sedate him," Haverson snapped, trying to regain control. A nurse reached for the syringe. The man's head snapped toward her before she even got close. Try it, he said quietly. She stopped. No one moved. The monitors continued their frantic beeping, each second ticking closer to something irreversible. He was bleeding out, and no one could get near him. Emma stood at the edge of the room, watching, listening. Her breathing remained steady, but something behind her eyes had shifted. Not fear. Recognition. She took one step forward. Emma, don't, a senior nurse whispered sharply. He's unstable. She didn't stop. Another step. Then another. Step back, Haverson ordered. You are not assigned to this case. Still she moved. The man's head turned toward her. For a moment, his expression didn't change. Still hard. Still defensive. Still ready to fight. But she didn't rush him. Didn't speak. Didn't reach. She simply stopped a few feet away. Close enough to be seen. Far enough not to threaten. The room held its breath. Slowly, carefully, Ma lifted her hand. Not toward him. Toward her own sleeve. And rolled it back. Just enough. The fabric shifted, revealing a small mark on her forearm. Faded. Precise. Not decorative. Not modern. Something older. Something earned. The man's entire body went still. Not gradually. Instantly. Like the fight had been cut off at its source. His eyes locked onto the mark. And something inside them changed. The rage didn't fade. It transformed. Into recognition. His grip loosened. His breathing, ragged seconds ago, began to steady. The room didn't understand. But it felt it. That shift. That moment. What one of the interns whispered. The man's voice came next. Not loud. Not aggressive. Barely above a breath. But it carried more weight than anything shouted before. That unit. He swallowed hard. Eyes still fixed on her arm. They said you were gone. Emma didn't answer. Didn't move. Didn't explain. She simply held his gaze. And for the first time since he had arrived, he let go. Completely. The monitor steadied just slightly. Enough. Let them work, she said quietly. He nodded once. Just once. And lay back. The entire trauma team stood frozen for half a second longer before instinct snapped them back into motion. Go, go, go. Roman 4 back in. Pressure on the wound. Get imaging ready. The room exploded into action again, but now it was different. Controlled. Possible. Emma stepped back, pulling her sleeve down again. The mark disappeared. Like it had never been there. Doctor. Haverson stared at her, something unfamiliar creeping into his expression. Not respect. Not yet. But something close to uncertainty. What did you just do? He demanded. Emma met his gaze calmly. Stabilize the situation, she replied. Then she turned and walked out of the trauma bay, leaving behind a room full of professionals who suddenly realized they had no idea who she really was. And inside Trauma Bay 3, the wounded Marine commander closed his eyes briefly. Not in pain. In relief. Because for the first time since he'd been carried through those doors, he believed he might actually survive. The corridor outside Trauma Bay 3 felt colder than the room Emma had just left. Not in temperature but in distance. The noise of the ER dulled behind her, replaced by the quieter rhythm of footsteps, distant monitors, and muffled voices. Emma walked with the same steady pace, her hands relaxed at her sides, her expression unchanged. But beneath that calm, something had shifted. A door she had spent years keeping closed had just been forced open. Nurse Emma. The voice came sharp, controlled. Dr. Haverson. She stopped. Turned. He was already walking toward her, jaw tight, eyes narrowed, not confused anymore, but irritated. What exactly was that? He asked. Imad didn't answer immediately. You interfered in an active trauma situation, he continued. You approached a combative patient without authorization, disrupted protocol and... He stabilized, Imad said quietly. Haverson's expression hardened. That doesn't excuse. He stabilized, she repeated, not louder, but firmer. For a moment, they stood there in silence. Two completely different kinds of authority facing each other. Haverson exhaled sharply. You got lucky, he said. That man is a high-value military asset, if anything had gone wrong. But it didn't. That stopped him. Not because of the words. Because of how she said them. No arrogance. No challenge. Just fact. It unsettled him more than defiance would have. You're off this case, he said finally. Effective immediately. Return to general duties. And stay out of trauma unless assigned. Imad nodded once. Understood. No argument. No resistance. That, somehow, irritated him even more. He turned and walked back toward the trauma bay. Imad continued down the corridor. But she didn't go far. She stopped near a supply station, her eyes drifting just slightly back toward the double doors. Listening. Waiting. Inside, the tension had returned, but it was different now. More fragile. BP is unstable again. Internal bleeding suspected. Get the scan ready, move. Commander Hale lay on the table, his earlier stillness replaced with strain. Sweat lined his forehead, his breathing uneven again. But he didn't fight. Not anymore. His eyes moved once toward the door. Like he expected someone to be there. She's gone, one of the nurses said under her breath. Hale didn't respond. But something in his expression tightened. Doctor. Haverson stepped forward, reclaiming control of the room. We don't have time to wait on imaging, he said. We're losing him. There's too much damage. We prep for surgical intervention now. What kind? A resident asked. Haverson didn't hesitate. Amputation if necessary. Silence hit the room. A nurse swallowed hard. That's extreme, another doctor said. It's survival, Haverson snapped. You want him to bleed out instead? No one answered. Because he wasn't wrong. But he wasn't entirely right either. Hale's hand clenched weakly against the bed. No, he muttered. Haverson ignored him. Prep consent. No. The word came louder this time. Not with the same explosive force as before, but with something heavier. Refusal. Hale's eyes locked onto Haverson. You cut, he breathed, struggling. I don't make it. That's not your call, Haverson replied. You're in no condition to. He's right. The voice came from the doorway. Quiet. Controlled. Imad. Every head turned. Haverson's jaw tightened instantly. I told you. He's not losing circulation from tissue death, Imad said, stepping into the room. It's compression. The room stilled. Haverson stared at her. You are not part of this. If you amputate, she continued, you're removing the wrong problem. A resident frowned. What do you mean? Imad's eyes moved to the commander's arm. Precise. Focused. The pressure isn't where you think it is, she said. It's deeper. Internal restriction. Likely from fragmented impact shrapnel or bone displacement. Haverson scoffed. And you know this how? Imad didn't answer that. Instead, she stepped closer to the table. His radial pulse is inconsistent, she said. Not absent, restricted. That means flow is blocked, not destroyed. One of the younger doctors hesitated. That's possible. Haverson shot him a look. Possible isn't enough, he said sharply. We don't gamble with lives. Imad met his gaze. Then don't. Silence. Thick. Uncomfortable. Hale's voice came again, weak, but steady. Let her try. Haverson turned to him. You're not thinking clearly. I am, Cale said. More than you. That landed hard. The room shifted again. Authority bending. Haverson exhaled slowly, clearly fighting for control. This is not a battlefield, he said. This is a hospital. We follow procedure. Emma's voice came softer this time. Procedure won't save him. That was it. That was the line. Haverson stepped forward, his tone final. Enough. You're done here. Security. Wait. The word came from the back of the room. An older nurse. One who had seen more years than most in that building. She stepped forward slowly, her eyes fixed on Emma's arm where the sleeve had shifted slightly again. I've seen that before, she said quietly. No one spoke. I don't know where, she continued, but I know what it means. Haverson looked at her, irritated. This isn't the time for. It is, she said, cutting him off. That surprised everyone. She turned to Emma. Tell me I'm wrong. Emma didn't confirm. Didn't deny. But her silence said enough. The older nurse looked back at Haverson. If she's what I think she is, she said, then she's the most qualified person in this room. The statement hung in the air. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Haverson's expression darkened. This is absurd, he said. We are not handing over a critical trauma case to a nurse based on speculation and... Then don't hand it over. Emma stepped closer to the table. Assist. That word landed differently. Not a request. Not a challenge. A role. Defined. Clear. For a moment, no one moved. Then, Hale's monitor spiked sharply. Alarm screamed. Heart rate dropping. Pressure collapsing. That was it. No more time. No more debate. Emma moved. Fast. Precise. Her hands were on his arm in seconds, fingers pressing into a point just below the visible injury. Stop the external clamp, she said. What? A doctor snapped. Do it. Something in her tone cut through the panic. They obeyed. She adjusted the angle of his arm slightly, just a few degrees. Then pressed again. Harder. Exact. The monitor changed. Not dramatically. But enough. A shift. A stabilization. What did you just? The resident whispered. Restored partial flow, Emma said. Not fixed. Stabilized. She looked up. Now we work. No one argued. Because now. They were following her. Even if they didn't understand why. Even if they didn't want to admit it. And for the first time that night, the balance of power in that room had completely changed. But it wouldn't last. Because just outside those doors, consequences were already on their way. Generate 20 viral YouTube story topics in the following genre. Undervalued professional, especially a nurse, is mocked, fired, or ignored by authority figures until a sudden crisis reveals their extraordinary past, forcing a dramatic reversal of power and public justice. Topic rules. Each topic must feel cinematic and emotional. Must include humiliation, injustice, or dismissal at the start. Must hint at a shocking reveal later but not explain it. Must involve hospitals, emergencies, schools, military, or public spaces. Must sound like a true story, even though fictional. Titles should trigger curiosity and outrage. Title style. Use contrast, they left until. Capitalize emotional words. 12-18 words per title. Similar tone to. The doctors laughed at the new nurse, until the wounded SEAL commander salute her. Output format. Numbered list. Only titles, no explanations. They laughed at the quiet night nurse, until the ER locked down. She was fired from the hospital cafeteria, until a code blue exposed her past. The head doctor mocked the new nurse, until the military helicopters arrived. They ignored the school nurse's warning until the gym turned into a battlefield. Security humiliated the janitor nurse until the ICU went completely dark suddenly. They called her useless during rounds until the AR doors exploded open. The principal fired the school nurse publicly until the bus crash victims arrived. Doctors laughed at the rural clinic nurse until the army set up camp. She was demoted to supply duty until a stadium emergency changed everything. They escorted the nurse out in shame until the governor collapsed nearby. The surgeon yelled at the trainee nurse until the power failed mid-operation. Parents mocked the school health aide until the lockdown sirens started screaming. They laughed when she chose night shifts until the mass casualties arrived. Hospital board fired the old-fashioned nurse until the veterans began watching silently. They ignored the nurse during the drill until it wasn't a drill. The crowd booed the first aid volunteer until a child stopped breathing. Doctors shamed the transfer nurse until the quarantine doors slammed shut suddenly. They mocked her accent in the AR until the wounded soldiers arrived. The administrator laughed at the substitute nurse until the city went silent. She was called a nobody at work until the emergency needed her name. I want title like these, please generate me like these. No doctor could get close to the dying SEAL Admiral, but the new nurse knew his call sign. No one knew the new nurse was an army general until the hospital was stormed by armed men. She saved 10 people in 1 hour, then a SEAL Admiral walked in calling her by her call sign. No one knew the new nurse was a 4-star SEAL Admiral until heavily armed men stormed the hospital. No one knew the new nurse was an army colonel until the hospital was stormed by armed men. The Marines didn't recognize that the rookie nurse was a Navy SEAL until armed men stormed the ER. No one knew the new nurse was a combat surgeon until a Marine's heart stopped. No doctor could get close to the dying SEAL sniper, but the new nurse knew his call sign. No one knew the new nurse was Angel 6 until 8 helicopters landed at the AR. Rookie nurse is fired for touching a VIP colonel until the Pentagon called the hospital. The K9 didn't let anyone get close to the wounded SEAL body until the new nurse showed her tattoo. Doctors laughed at the rookie nurse until they saw the wounded SEAL commander salute her. No one knew the volunteer nurse was from the 35th Marine Regiment until the border ER was stormed. Call someone qualified, said the SEAL, then the nurse revealed the tattoo of the unit she served in. Marines didn't know the new nurse was a Navy SEAL until the military hospital was overrun. No one knew the rookie nurse was a SEAL combat surgeon until 35 doctors failed. No one knew the new nurse was an FBI agent until the hospital's illegal operations were exposed. What the new nurse on duty did in 35 minutes left the SEAL and the head surgeon shocked. Her application was rejected until they saw her file read, classified, Tier 1 medical officer. Analysis these topic and give me the 40 list topic. No one knew the new nurse was Valkyrie Actual until the ICU was locked down. Doctors refused to let her touch the SEAL patient until he spoke her call sign. No one knew the rookie nurse was Special Forces until the hospital went on lockdown. She was laughed out of the trauma room until the SEAL commander asked for her. No doctor could stabilize the general, but the new nurse recognized the code word. They fired the new nurse for disobedience until the Pentagon demanded her return. No one knew the quiet nurse was Black Ops until armed escorts cleared the ER. Doctors mocked the inexperienced nurse until the wounded admiral saluted her. The nurse was barred from the ER until the patient whispered her old call sign. No one knew the new nurse was military intelligence until the hospital files vanished. Security dragged her out of the ER until the SEAL team stopped them cold. No doctor could read the SEAL vitals until the nurse spoke one classified phrase. They called her a liability during the crisis until the military took command. No one knew the rookie nurse was a combat medic until the surgeon stood back. The head surgeon ignored her orders until the wounded colonel confirmed them. Doctors laughed when she named the protocol until the army recognized it. No one knew the nurse was Ghost 7 until helicopters surrounded the hospital. She was reassigned to cleaning duty, until the SEAL asked only for her. No doctor could calm the canine guarding the body, until the nurse showed her mark. They mocked her for wearing no medals, until the general called her rank. No one knew the new nurse was Tier 1, until the emergency became classified. The AR refused her access, until the military police opened the doors. Doctors ignored the nurse's warning, until the SEAL flatlined on cue. No one knew the nurse was a wartime surgeon, until the trauma became familiar. She was fired for breaking protocol until the command center intervened. No one knew the new nurse was deep cover, until the hospital was compromised. The surgeon called her delusional, until the code name checked out. No doctor could save the SEAL captain, until the nurse spoke his unit name. They laughed at the nurse's confidence, until the military evacuated the floor. No one knew the rookie nurse was decorated, until the general recognized her. She was denied entry to the crisis room, until the call came from command. No one knew the new nurse was Red Echo, until the ER went silent. Doctors questioned her authority, until the SEAL took their orders from her. The nurse was written up for arrogance, until her clearance was revealed. No one knew the quiet nurse was a battlefield legend, until the past caught up. They mocked her military knowledge, until the wounded officer confirmed it. No doctor could control the chaos, until the nurse used an old war protocol. She was told to step aside, until the patient called her commander. No one knew the new nurse was special operations, until the hospital was secured. Her resume was ignored, until the file was stamped classified. Write a long-form cinematic YouTube narration script 70-95 minutes based on the following topic. Wounded Marine commander refused treatment, until the rookie nurse revealed the unit tattoo. Story structure mandatory. 1. Introduce a calm, experienced but underestimated female nurse. 2. Show her being mocked, ignored, or dismissed by doctors, administrators, or authority figures. 3. Drop subtle clues that she has an unusual background, no full reveal yet. 4. A sudden life or death emergency erupts involving Navy SEAL soldier. 5. Doctors hesitate due to ego, protocol, or fear of consequences. 6. The nurse breaks protocol and performs a high-risk, advanced life-saving action. 7. She succeeds, but is immediately punished or removed. 8. A powerful external authority arrives, military, federal, or national level. 9. The nurse's true past is revealed through others, not herself. 10. Arrogant figures are exposed and face consequences. 11. The nurse chooses dignity, service, or teaching, not revenge. Writing style. Third-person cinematic narrator. Serious, emotional, dramatic tone. Detailed sensory descriptions, sounds, lights, tension. Realistic, but understandable medical or emergency terminology. No comedy, no parody. Dialogue must feel authoritative and natural. Character rules. The nurse never brags or explains herself. Her competence is revealed through action and witnesses. Antagonists are confident, dismissive, and later humiliated. Ending requirements. Emotional reflection on humility, justice, or unseen heroes. End with a YouTube CTA. Like, subscribe, and comment what you would have done. The story must feel realistic, grounded, and suitable for voice narration. Emki the girl name Emma. And here is the story. Please go according to the storyline but with different wordings. 0:008:22 p.m. Saint Haven. ER exploded as paramedics rushed in a Marine commander. 0:066 seconds bleeding through desert Como. Jaw clenched, eyes feral with battlefield adrenaline. Doctors swarmed, shouting orders. But the moment they touched him, 0:1515 seconds snapped awake, kicking off equipment. 0:1717 seconds ripping lines out, roaring, "No one touches me." Security backed off instantly. This wasn't confusion. This 0:2525 seconds was combat reflex. Then she stepped forward. The rookie nurse, quiet, soft-spoken, invisible in morning rounds. 0:3434 seconds underestimated in every briefing. She shouldn't have approached him, but she did. Slowly, without a word, she rolled 0:4141 seconds up her scrub sleeve, revealing a small inked insignia on her forearm, a faded Trident X blood-red unit star. The 0:4949 seconds Marine's entire body froze. Rage melted into recognition. His breathing steadied. He stared, broken, trembling. 0:5858 seconds Corsaman Starling, he whispered. The one they told us died. In one heartbeat, the AR learned the woman they. 1:051 minute. 5 seconds Gold Rookie was the only medic that classified unit ever trusted, because she was the only one who ever got them home alive. Before we begin, take 2 seconds. 1:141 minute. 14 seconds to comment where you're watching from and hit subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. All right, let's. 1:201 minute. 20 seconds get into it. 8:22 p.m. St. Ridge ER drowned in fluorescent light, metallic panic, and the smell of iron-rich blood. 1:301 minute. 30 seconds paramedics ram through the double doors with a Marine commander, not a grunt, not a trainee, a decorated battlefield strategist whose name hung on Pentagon walls, half-conscious. 1:401 minute. 40 seconds drenched crimson, uniform carved open by shrapnel and fire. He wasn't screaming. 1:461 minute. 46 seconds he wasn't shaking. He simply stared through the chaos like a man still hearing mortars. 1:521 minute. 52 seconds BP crashing, tourniquet slipping. Move. 1:561 minute. 56 seconds move. Dr. Haverson, the Regent's surgical ego wrapped in a lab coat. 2:012 minutes. 1 second stepped forward like a king claiming a throne. We're losing the arm. Someone prep amputation consent. Gasps. A. 2:092 minutes. 9 seconds resident dropped a clamp. A Marine commander isn't supposed to be defeated by anything except an honorable end. But tonight he lay powerless, blood-soaked. 2:182 minutes. 18 seconds jaw shaking. And that's exactly when she walked in. Ava Lennox, rookie nurse, 27. 2:252 minutes. 25 seconds soft voice, soft eyes, soft everything, the kind the night shift joked about. 2:322 minutes. 32 seconds she looks like she'd fainted a paper cut. She was only delivering morphine and charting. She wasn't signed. 2:392 minutes. 39 seconds wasn't invited, wasn't respected. 2:422 minutes. 42 seconds, but when her steps crossed into his peripheral vision, the commander's body reacted before consciousness did. His hand shot up, seizing her wrist with surprising strength, eyes open, wide. 2:542 minutes. 54 seconds jaunted, recognition lighting every corner of a soul that had seen too much. Everyone froze. Commander, release her. 3:033 minutes. 3 seconds he's delirious. He's combative. 3:063 minutes. 6 seconds but the Marine didn't hear them. He saw only her. He lifted her wrist higher. 3:113 minutes. 11 seconds and that's when the room collectively stopped breathing. Because beneath her sleeve, as the fabric shifted, a mark appeared. Not decorative ink, not acute. 3:193 minutes. 19 second symbol, not Instagram aesthetic. A military insignia tattoo, black ink. 3:253 minutes. 25 seconds faded by sun and sand, etched with coordinates only one classified team ever memorized. Red Wolf, 19 survivors. 3:343 minutes. 34 seconds nightfall unit. Dr. Haverson blinked. A resident stumbled backward. Security reached for tasers, then paused, utterly. 3:413 minutes. 41 seconds confused. The commander's voice cracked open, rough from dust and war. 3:473 minutes. 47 seconds nightfall medic. You were our shadow. Alva's breath caught, but she didn't pull away. She. 3:553 minutes. 55 seconds Shad promised herself years ago she would never hear that word again. Nightfall. The unit erased from records. 4:024 minutes. 2 seconds sacrificed, classified, and left for history to forget. Every doctor, every intern, every nurse who spent months. 4:084 minutes, 8 seconds slowing at Ava's fragile personality, stared like the floor split open. The Marine's grip loosened, not from 4:154 minutes, 15 seconds weakness, but reverence. A salute might have come next if he weren't drowning in blood loss. 4:214 minutes, 21 seconds Ava, Dr. Haverson snapped back to his false authority. I don't care what tattoo she has. Start prepping for 4:294 minutes, 29 seconds amputate. No. The Marine's voice thundered, ripping through monitors and medical protocol. If she's here, no one. 4:384 minutes, 38 seconds cuts anything. No one spoke. Ava swallowed hard, her pulse betraying her calm expression. I'm not that person anymore, she murmured almost inaudible. 4:504 minutes, 50 seconds the commander trembled. From blood loss, yes, but more from memory. You're the only reason any of us made it out. 4:574 minutes, 57 seconds you saved 19 men with nothing but sand. 5:005 minute estering, and God's patience. Her eyes glistened, not with pride, but with the way she carried. 19 survived. 1. 5:075 minutes, 7 seconds didn't, and that one was the reason she left the battlefield forever. Doctor. 5:125 minutes, 12 seconds Haverson tried again, authority cracking around the edges. Nurse Lennox. 5:165 minutes, 16 seconds you have no battlefield clearance anymore. Step aside. Ava didn't move. 5:225 minutes, 22 seconds you amputate and he dies, she said quietly, voice flat, but surgical in certainty. He's not losing circulation. 5:295 minutes, 29 seconds from tissue death. It's splintered compression. Release the inner tourniquet. Elevate to 42 degrees and pulse the 5:365 minutes, 36 seconds radial clamp every 10 seconds. The room stared. Those weren't nursing instructions. Those were covert field. 5:445 minutes, 44 seconds medic directives used only in units so classified that even Pentagon surgeons rarely heard them. Doctor. Haverson's face flushed. You don't have authority. 5:545 minutes, 54 seconds she has more than any of us. A voice whispered. It came from Captain Rains, a veteran waiting for stitches. 6:006 Minutus recognizing the insignia long before anyone else dared. That ink isn't decoration. It's a graveyard. Nightfall. 6:076 minutes, 7 seconds here and that mark in blood. Silence hit harder than any artillery report. Ava's hand trembled, not from fear, but from 6:156 minutes, 15 seconds remembering the exact moment she swore she would never use those skills again. 6:196 minutes, 19 seconds but the commander looked at her like a drowning man looks at shore. Medic, please. If anyone's touching my arm. 6:266 minutes, 26 seconds it's you. Every doctor watched. Every nurse held breath. Security lowered their hands. She approached the wound. 6:336 minutes, 33 seconds not shaking anymore but returning to a skin she thought she'd shed. She pressed 2 fingers below the fracture. Precise. 6:406 minutes, 40 seconds controlled, impossibly calm. The monitors jumped. Not down, not flatlined, stabilized. The commander. 6:486 minutes, 48 seconds exhaled. A dying man remembering what survival feels like. Ava whispered. 6:536 minutes, 53 seconds barely audible. You should have forgotten me. He blinked back tears he didn't apologize for. A soldier never forgets the medic who walked through. 7:017 minutes, 1 second held to drag him home. She inhaled sharply, stepping back, that graveyard ink on her forearm burning with ghosts. 7:087 minutes, 8 seconds before anyone could speak, before Haverson could reclaim control, before she could flee the pass swallowing her. 7:157 minutes, 15 seconds the commander's heart monitor began to scream. Flat readouts, alarm piercing, a digital death nail. Code blue trauma bay. 7:247 minutes, 24 seconds 3. That was his bay. Ava's body reacted before thought. Before hierarchy. Before. 7:317 minutes, 31 seconds fear. She ran straight back into the battlefield. She never truly left. She burst into trauma bay 3. And what she 7:397 minutes, 39 seconds saw made every war she survived look small. The ER had gone eerily quiet after the tattoo reveal. No machines. 7:477 minutes, 47 seconds beeping out of rhythm. No interns whispering, no surgeons barking orders. 7:527 minutes, 52 seconds just the steady hum of fluorescent lights, and a Marine commander staring at a woman he thought had died. 7:587 minutes, 58 seconds Commander Beckett's breathing evened out. More disbelief than pain now. Every doctor in the room waited for someone else to speak first. No one dared. Alpha. 8:078 minutes, 7 seconds Ward. The rookie nurse with flawless posture and a neat low bun lowered her sleeve again, hiding the ink that had detonated the room. Not a flower, not a butterfly, not a quote. A unit mark. 8:198 minutes, 19 seconds Black, sharp, encrypted 3C. Iron Fire Recon. The unit that never made it home. 8:278 minutes, 27 seconds She shouldn't be alive. Beckett shouldn't be alive. No one from that desert op should be alive. The head surgeon, Dr. 8:348 minutes, 34 seconds Klein cleared his throat, trying to regain control. Commander, we still need to address internal bleeding and the shrapnel. If you'd let my team. 8:438 minutes, 43 seconds Beckett didn't even look at him. I'll only allow her, he said, pointing at Ava. Every gaze snapped back to her. She. 8:518 minutes, 51 seconds shook her head immediately. No, I'm not attached to any force anymore. I'm a hospital nurse. You follow them, not. 8:588 minutes, 58 seconds Me. Beckett's eyes hardened. Not with anger, with memory. 9:039 minutes, 3 seconds You held pressure on my pulmonary tear with nothing but your hands, he said quietly. 3 hours under mortar fire. 9:119 minutes, 11 seconds Don't tell me you're just anything. 9:139 minutes, 13 seconds Someone exhaled. Someone else muttered a curse. Doctor. Klein stepped forward. 9:189 minutes, 18 seconds Frustrated. Nurse Ward does not have clearance for battlefield trauma protocols anymore. She will follow hospital policy. Do you understand me? 9:269 minutes, 26 seconds His voice echoed with authority, but Beckett's reply crushed it. She outranks you, he said. No yelling, no aggression. 9:369 minutes, 36 seconds Just fact. Ava flinched at the word. Outranked. Past tense present wait. 9:439 minutes, 43 seconds She looked at the commander, voice barely above a whisper. Command died with the others. Beckett swallowed, jaw tight. No, you carried it. He shifted. 9:549 minutes, 54 seconds Spain spiking, his hand gripping the rails until nurses moved to sedate him. But he lifted his hand to stop them. 10:0110 minutes, 1 second Don't sedate me. Not until she tells me who else made it out. Ava froze. The room stilled again. There it was. The 10:0910 minutes, 9 seconds question she had buried in every sleepless shift, every sterile hallway at 3:00 a.m. Who else crawled out of the 10:1710 minutes, 17 seconds Desert alive? Who else she failed to retrieve? She looked at the commander's face, pale but burning with the same fire she remembered from Sand, Night. 10:2610 minutes, 26 seconds Vision, and the metallic taste of bleeding air. Beckett, she whispered. 10:3110 minutes, 31 seconds There were no survivors. He didn't blink. You survived, and I wasn't supposed to. No one breathed. Alpha. 10:3810 minutes, 38 seconds turned from him, her voice steady only through muscle memory. Let's prep him for imaging. He needs an abdominal scan. But Beckett lifted his good arm. 10:4710 minutes, 47 seconds. One not bandaged, not punctured, and placed it gently over her wrist. Ava, we dug for you. Her chest tightened. 10:5610 minutes, 56 seconds. We dug for 6 days. Ava's eyelashes trembled. Not a tear, but something deeper. Pain memory. Sand memory. 11:0411 minutes, 4 seconds. Commanders don't tremble. Medics don't break. But she did once, and it cost them all. Stop, she said, barely. 11:1311 minutes, 13 seconds. Holding her voice. Doctor. Klein saw her faltering and stepped in, reclaiming space. Commander Beckett, she is not your. 11:2111 minutes, 21 seconds. Medic anymore. She is my nurse. You will follow my protocol. Not. Beckett's eyes sharpened. You think protocol saved. 11:2811 minutes, 28 seconds. Lives out there. The ER iced over. Ava moved. Not fast, just decisive, positioning herself between the two men. 11:3711 minutes, 37 seconds. Clean enough. He's stable. Let me speak with him alone. Doctor. Klein opened his mouth, but her tone, quiet, controlled. 11:4611 minutes, 46 seconds. And unmistakably tactical. 11:4911 minutes, 49 seconds. Stopped him. 7 other nurses turned away, pretending not to hear. Powers shift. Security stepped back. Beckett eased his shoulders, wincing from the 11:5711 minutes, 57 seconds. Bullet fragment still lodged near the rib, but Comer now, anchored. Only Ava could do that. Only Ava ever did. She. 12:0512 minutes, 5 seconds. Leaned close, not intimate. Tactical distance. You can't rewrite the desert. 12:1112 minutes, 11 seconds. Said softly. Not for me. Not for you. Beckett didn't argue. He just looked at her forearm again, where the ink hid beneath fabric. That mark, he whispered. 12:2212 minutes, 22 seconds. Means something. Ava closed her eyes. It meant we made it through hell, she replied, voice shaking for the first time. And only one of us crawled back. 12:3112 minutes, 31 seconds out. Silence heavy with ghosts. Machines beeped again, reminding them they were in fluorescent calm, not dust and gunpowder. Beckett breathed slowly. 12:4112 minutes, 41 seconds. Staring past the lights, past the white ceiling, back into a night Ava spent 3 years erasing. I saw you fall, he. 12:4912 minutes, 49 seconds. Said. Ava's fingers tightened on the rail. You didn't see me stop breathing, she replied. His eyes widened, not confusion, realization. 12:5912 minutes, 59 seconds. You flatlined. 13:0113 minutes, 1 second, 67 seconds, she told him quietly. No pulse, no oxygen, declared. Zipped. 13:0913 minutes, 9 seconds. And then Ava swallowed. Someone dragged me out of the bag. Beckett's face shifted. Grief, admiration, and 13:1613 minutes, 16 seconds. Something else. The ER doors hissed open. A uniformed officer stepped in. 13:2213 minutes, 22 seconds. Clean, official, meant for briefing rooms, not trauma bays. Commander Beckett, he announced. Military transport is en route. You'll be moved. 13:3113 minutes, 31 seconds. In 20 minutes. Ava stiffened. We're not moving him, she said. The officer blinked. You don't have authority to. 13:3913 minutes, 39 seconds. Beckett interrupted. She does. The officer stared, confused. She doesn't wear insignia. No, Beckett said, voice cracked but iron-edged. She earned it. 13:5213 minutes, 52 seconds. The officer hesitated. File check. 13:5413 minutes, 54 seconds. Clearance conflict. Unit code. Echo. Ava cut through. Give him 20 minutes. That's it. Beckett nodded once. The officer stepped away. As soon as the door shut. 14:0514 minutes, 5 seconds. Beckett whispered. Ava, if you survive the others. Her answer fractured the room. There were no others. His breath faltered. The heart monitor steadied. 14:1514 minutes, 15 seconds, not from recovery, from acceptance. She turned to leave, seeking the door, the corridor, the quiet. But Beckett's voice stopped her. Ava, you didn't fail us. 14:2514 minutes, 25 seconds. Her shoulders froze mid-step. You're the reason I'm alive. The reason any of us lasted as long as we did. He paused. You. 14:3414 minutes, 34 seconds. Don't have to wear the uniform to stand with us. She didn't speak, didn't turn. 14:3914 minutes, 39 seconds. Just held still. Like the desert when wind dies. Never judge the quiet ones. 14:4414 minutes, 44 seconds. Beckett added. Soft but final. She left the room, but not the weight. Not yet. If you believe no one should ever judge quiet strength, comment. Never judge. 14:5514 minutes, 55 seconds. The corridor outside Recovery Bay felt too still, too civilian, too clean for the ghost now awakened Commander Coles. 15:0215 minutes, 2 seconds size. Lena Ward walked beside his gurney, short hug to her chest, heart hammering in a rhythm she hadn't felt since the desert. She had shown the ink. 15:1115 minutes, 11 seconds. The Falcon over Red Sun insignia, and he had gone silent, not weak, silent. 15:1715 minutes, 17 seconds. Recognition silent, the kind only shared by those who once stood in a place not meant for the living. The surgical bay. 15:2415 minutes, 24 seconds. Doors hissed shut behind them. Every physician, every intern, even the paramedic who first rolled him in stared as if she were now blowing or. 15:3315 minutes, 33 seconds. Radioactive were suddenly rewritten in their files. She kept her eyes on the floor. She never wanted them to know. 15:4015 minutes, 40 seconds. Commander Cole, pale but conscious. 15:4215 minutes, 42 seconds. Spoke first, voice raw but direct. You were dead, Ward. They told us you died with Falcon Unit. No greeting, no. 15:5115 minutes, 51 seconds. Softness, just truth laid cold in air that smelled like empty air in disbelief. Lena didn't answer, not. 15:5815 minutes, 58 seconds. Because she couldn't, but because there were things that never belonged to fluorescent lights and clipboards. 16:0416 minutes, 4 seconds. Things that stayed buried under sand and metal and folded flags. 16:1016 minutes, 10 seconds. Inside the bay, Dr. Bander, head of trauma, silver hair, bright ego, blocked her with a raised palm. That's far. 16:1816 minutes, 18 seconds. Enough. Nurse Ward. Military history aside, you don't belong in an officer's surgical debrief. Cole's voice cut. 16:2516 minutes, 25 seconds. Through him without volume, without edge, just certainty. She stays. Vander blinked, caught between chain of command. 16:3316 minutes, 33 seconds. And a tone that carried rank beyond this building. She's not cleared, the doctor repeated, quieter now. She's just a nurse. Cole slowly turned his head. 16:4416 minutes, 44 seconds. Meeting the surgeon's gaze. Steady, tired, unblinking. 16:4916 minutes, 49 seconds. The tattoo isn't decorative ink. She outranks every medic you've ever trained. A whisper rippled through the room. Nurses glanced at one another. 16:5816 minutes, 58 seconds. Residents shifted. A tech elbowed another for context he didn't have. But Lena only lowered her eyes deeper. She had spent years erasing that insignia. 17:0817 minutes, 8 seconds. Hiding it under sleeves, makeup, long coat shifts. Tonight, a soaked glove and instinct pulled it back into the open. 17:1617 minutes, 16 seconds. I don't outrank anyone, she murmured finally. Commander Cole didn't smile. 17:2117 minutes, 21 seconds. Men who'd watched brothers fall didn't smile easily. You carried Sergeant Morales on your back after the 17:2817 minutes, 28 seconds you'll reach 2 miles under mortars. I'd call that rank. Her face tightened just a twitch. But he saw it. He always saw too much. Doctor. Vander cleared his throat. 17:4017 minutes, 40 seconds rattled. Well, whatever she was in the past, she's not licensed for. Lena cut him off gently but surgically. 17:4817 minutes, 48 seconds. Commander's brachial pulse is strong. 17:5017 minutes, 50 seconds, but perfusion is still compromised. If you set the splint angle 4 degrees inward. 17:5517 minutes, 55 seconds. Will collapse flow again. The surgeon stiffened. She hadn't checked the arm. 18:0118 minutes, 1 second. She hadn't looked. She had felt the circulation shift as they moved him. 18:0518 minutes, 5 seconds. Cole watched Vander's expression collapse from authority to stunned confusion. She's right, Cole said. 18:1118 minutes, 11 seconds softly. She hasn't been wrong yet. No one spoke after that. Vander adjusted the angle exactly as instructed. The monitor eased, red bleeding into yellow. 18:2218 minutes, 22 seconds. CLO edging toward green. The room exhaled, but Lena didn't look at the screen. She looked at the commander's arm, the same arm that once returned her. 18:3118 minutes, 31 seconds. Salute after extraction, mud-soaked and shaking. Inside, his eyes lived a memory she avoided like a cliff edge. Falcon unit, final hour, radio blackout. 18:4218 minutes, 42 seconds. Morales bleeding out against her legs. 18:4518 minutes, 45 seconds. Vander scribbled something on the chart and without looking at her, stepped away. Fine, he muttered. She stays. Lena. 18:5318 minutes, 53 seconds. Wished he hadn't, because staying meant remembering. Staying meant seeing the faces she'd buried return in Cole's eyes. The ones who didn't make it. Cole. 19:0219 minutes, 2 seconds. Waited until the last intern drifted out. Then words so quiet she almost wished she'd misheard. Lena Morales. 19:1019 minutes, 10 seconds. Didn't die because of you. Her breath stopped. The ceiling blurred. The machine beeped steady, but her pulse did not. She had replayed it 1,000. 19:1819 minutes, 18 seconds. Times. Her hands on the wound. His laugh breaking in the middle of pain. The dust settling over bodies they couldn't carry. He bled out in my arms, she. 19:2819 minutes, 28 seconds. Whispered. I wasn't fast enough. Cole swallowed. The heart monitor clicked soft, steady. You kept him alive for 13. 19:3619 minutes, 36 seconds. 13. We didn't lose him because you failed. We lost him because command pulled you out, not him. Her eyes stung. 19:4519 minutes, 45 seconds. Not from grief. Grief was old. From recognition. Cole continued, voice cracking just once. We all would have. 19:5319 minutes, 53 seconds. Did in that canyon if you hadn't ignored protocol and stayed behind. If there's a reason I'm breathing right now, it's because of you. Her hands trembled round the chart. Not visibly. 20:0420 minutes, 4 seconds. Not enough for any doctor to see, but he noticed. He always noticed. Vander re-entered, breaking the moment. Surgical gloves snapping as he stepped forward. 20:1320 minutes, 13 seconds. Were ready to reset the fracture. He looked at Lena, discomfort replaced with reluctant respect. 20:2020 minutes, 20 seconds. If you have more input, Nurse Ward, say it now. She didn't move closer. She didn't touch the patient. She simply met. 20:2820 minutes, 28 seconds. The doctor's eyes. Don't use civilian torque levels. His bone density isn't typical. Military.